Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Nachari Jamuna Tira Nachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sri Radha Madhava ki Sri Radha Giridhari ki jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jai Jai Shuddha Shri Srimad Divine Grace of Aicharanada Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jai Jai Shuddha Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Saranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Brinda ki jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai Samveda Bhakti ki jai Go Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, assembled devotees, all glories, assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama. My mind. Yeah. It's like a trash truck. And it keeps picking up more trash instead of unloading it. You know, materialist, he keeps picking up trash. A Vaishnava is emptying the trash. So this morning we're reading from the 7th canto, 11th chapter, The Perfect Society, 4 social classes. This is text 30. We may go on to 31 and even 32, because they're all in a similar line, and then 34 begins another aspect of the philosophy. We'll see, though, how long-winded I am. So text 30. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Briti Sankara Jatinam Tat Tat Kulakrita Bhavet Akauranam Achauranam Apapanam. This is a good one here. Antyajanan. Actually, let's just say the whole one, right? It's the whole line. One word. One word is okay. Antyajante vasayinam. Mriti sankara jatinam. Tatat kula krita bhavet. Achauranam apapanam. Antyajante vasayinam. Briti sankara jatinam. Tatat kula krita bhavet. Achauranam apapanam. Antyajante vasayinam. Briti sankara jatinam. Tatat kula krita bhavet. Achauranam apapanam. Antyajante vasayinam.
Tat kulakrita bhavet. Achauranam apapanam. Antyajante vasayinam.
Vritti, occupational duty. Shankara Jatinam, of the mixed classes of men, those other than the four divisions. Tat, according to their respective Kulakrita, family tradition. Bhavet, should be. Achauranam, not thieves by profession. Apapanam, not sinful. Antyaja, lower classes. Ante Vasayinam, known as Ante Vasayi or Chandala. Okay, translation. Among the mixed classes known as Sankara, like Vanara Sankara, right? Krishna mentioned that in Bhagavad Gita. Those who are not thieves are known as Ante Vasayi or Chandalas, dog eaters, and they also have their hereditary customs. Purport. The four principal divisions of society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, have been defined, and now there is a description of the Antyaja, the mixed classes. Among the mixed classes, there are two divisions, Pratilomaja and Anulomaja. If a woman of a high caste marries a man of lower caste, their union is called Pratilo. If a woman of a low caste, however, marries a man of a higher caste, their union is called Anulo. The members of such dynasties have their traditional duties as barbers, washermen, and so on. Among the Antyajas, there are those who are still somewhat pure, in that they do not steal or are not addicted to meat eating, drinking, illicit sex, and gambling are called Ante Vaishayi. Among people of the lower classes, intermarriage and the drinking of wine are allowed. For these people do not recognize such conduct as sinful among themselves. So I'm just going to read the next translation and purport. My dear king, Brahmanas, well conversant in Vedic knowledge, have given their verdict that in every age, yuga, the conduct of different sections of people according to the material modes of nature is auspicious both in this life and after death. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 3:35 it is said, Shreyan swadharma vaiguna para dharmat swanushtitat. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties even though they may be faulty than another's duties. The Antyajas, the men of the lower classes, are accustomed to stealing, drinking, and illicit sex, but that is not considered sinful by them. For example, if a tiger kills a man, that is not sinful, but if a man kills another man, this is considered sinful and the killer is hanged. What is a daily affair among the animals is a sinful act in human society. Thus, according to the symptoms of higher and lower sections of society, there are different varieties of occupational duties. According to the experts in Vedic knowledge, these duties are prescribed in terms of the age concerned. Let's just finish 32. If one acts in his profession according to his position and the modes of nature and gradually gives up these activities, he attains the Niṣkāma stage. Purport. If one gradually gives up his hereditary customs and duties and tries to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his natural position, he is gradually able to become free from these activities, and he attains the stage of Niṣkāma, freedom from material desires. So tomorrow's verse will begin with 33. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unminitam Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Vanchakapataru Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Bhavani Bho Vaishnavi Bho Namo Namaha. So by your good wishes and prayers, I'll try to say a few things. What's being brought up here? So, Krishna explains that this Chaturvayam Vibhagasa, It's coming from Krishna. Chaturvayam mayashishtam guna karma bhagas. According to one's quality and work, you have the 4 different predominant or major varnas in society. And that's been described to some degree already. And then in subsequent chapters, Narada Muni is going to explain in much more detail, especially the ashrams also. So they're naturally occurring, but no one's a fool that there are many members of society that do not fall into these 4 categories. The culture isn't there, the training's not there. You could even say the birth isn't there. The birth isn't there. So recognizing that. So what do you do with those who aren't inclined? Because even the sudras, I don't know if it's already been described, I know it's in this section of the Bhagavatam, all the different, was there already a verse about like 20-something different qualities of a human being? Did that come up yet? Yeah. Okay. So, it's for, yeah. And it's understood that even the sudras, everyone's supposed to have these good qualities. Not just the Brahmins, everyone should have these good qualities. That's what it means to be a human being. So what do you have in society when people don't even have those? So that's what's being described here. It's understood that, and it does refer in these few verses we're discussing today about according to the yuga we're in. In Satya Yuga it was quite different. Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. Now we're in Kali Yuga. And we've only gone into it like got our toes wet practically. It's only 5,000 years. We've got 227,000 more years to go? 400, excuse me. Boy, add an extra 100,000 years. So 427,000 years to go. What's Kali Yuga going to look like, right? I don't know. Well, if you do want to know, it's there. 12th canto, Hare Krishna. But as far as, and these orders of life, it's been described here in the Bhagavad Gita, they exist for the peaceful functioning of human society. Is it better to have a peaceful functioning society or anarchy and distress for everyone? Raise your hand if you think it's the first one. Okay, we got it. Most everyone thinks it's the first one. Okay. Yeah, it's everyone's a lot happier if society's organized in such a way where people are peaceful and the needs, necessities of life are easily met, and also one understands the higher goal of life, which is going back home, back to Godhead. That's a peaceful society. Without those 2 things, there can be no peace. There just can't be peace. When people are worried and concerned that they don't even get the necessities of life. And even if you have the necessities, or even if you have material abundance, if you don't have a spiritual anchor and goal in life, you're still in a lot of anxiety. You're not peaceful either. And that's you can say the many Western countries, they're suffering from a disease called affluency. Not the flu, but affluency. Achoo! Affluency. It's worse than COVID. Affluenza, right? Affluenza. You have too much, and you still think you can't get enough. And it creates so many problems. One is never, what is that? Bhogaishvar pasaktanam taya parityachetasam. Like that, Krishna says, one is bewildered by bhoga and aishwarya. I want to enjoy, I want opulence. The mind is always disturbed. The mind's always disturbed. One can find no peace whatsoever. Because it dushparain analena cha. What does that mean? Prabhu? What does that mean? Dushparain analena cha. Krishna says, that's this material world. Dushparain analena cha. You ever hear that one before? Burns like fire and is never satisfied. That's material world. Burns like fire and is never satisfied. How much does a fire ever become satisfied by the amount of wood you put into it? It says, I've had enough, thank you. No, just more and more. As much as you put in, it keeps burning. Ask me how I know. It's my line of work, right? So just keep burning that, just add that firewood. Okay, so human society, in the world in general, if there's to be peace in human society and in the world, because human beings, it's an interesting species that whatever we do affects the whole planet. It's actually a minority. I was just thinking about the other day, I was just doing a puja, and Indrani, the woman I know, she's complaining about all the ants in her house now, probably because of the hot weather, all these little tiny ants. And I'm just thinking, you couldn't even calculate, but I mean, there's more ants in San Diego than there are people. I'm sure there are. Probably in one house, one neighborhood. There's ants and flies and blades of grass. And so if you take as far as numbers, human beings are a tiny amount of a particular species, and yet their influence is so great that they can either make the whole world peaceful or they can destroy everything. So that's what we're doing today. We're ruining the whole thing for everyone else. Just like sometimes people have a party, they invite someone, and that person ruins the party for everyone. Why are you looking at him? Right? They call him a party pooper. He just comes and just ruins the whole party, says the wrong things, insults the host or hostess, and just say, who invited this person? They just ruin the party for everyone, right? Just one person can ruin it. Chanaka Pandit says the same way, that he says one good son is like a fragrant flower tree in the forest, very nice, but also one bad son. Is it like a fire, he says? It just destroys the whole dynasty, burns it just like a fire, just burns everything. So human beings today have practically ruined the planet. They've ruined the planet. So we don't know how to live. That's the point. It's obvious right in front of us. The statistics are there. These statistics don't lie. I know there's alternate truths, things like that. That's a term that came out a few years ago, right? Alternate facts, like that. So, but it's right in front of us. So what to do? So the Vedas explain that there is a way to organize society for peace and prosperity in this life and the next, if you follow certain rules and regulations, if you like. But how about those who are outside of that, who are not really interested? And that's what's being described here. These are your mixed classes. And it's quite interesting to get into this idea, because in today's world, when people get married, very rarely, what class are you from? Oh, class of 75. It's like, I don't want to know when you graduated from college. What class are you from? No, that's not what we're talking about. But it's actually very, very important as far as compatibility, that who you choose to marry and spend your life with for your own sanity, but also the children that will come out of that. The children that will come out of that. And that's not just something in India only. In Europe, in many different places, whenever there's royal families, they're very, very careful about who gets married and this and that, because they know if you start falling out of that, then there's no training. There's different classes. There's just different classes of people. And we say it's by quality and work. We're not saying it's by birth, but there are different classes of people. And people should be concerned about that. And also, if you want to be happy, if you're low class, for use of a better term right now, if you're a low-class person, you want to be happy, marry a low-class person. It'd be just like two peas in a pod. It'd be great. But when you start mixing like this and that, then all of a sudden, and we see so many problems, even in modern history. Someone in a royal family marries someone who's not in the royal family. Who was it who abdicated the throne in England? Was it Albert, or who was it? The one who, remember? That was just a few decades ago. Albert, Charles, what is it? This is back in the 30s or 40s or something. Common lady, and they told him, well, if you want to marry her, you can, but you cannot become the king of England. And you know what he chose? Chose the broad. And I don't know if did it last? Did it last? But I think later in life I read something, he had some second thoughts. Because he's sitting there and goes, I could have been the king of England. His wife goes, Albert, take the trash out. I could have been the king of England. I got to take the trash out. So, but that's what happened. And they said, you can't be the king of England if you're going to do something like that. They're very, very careful about that. So you just have to make your choice. So what's being described here are the different mixes, and the two mentioned in the purport are this pratiloma and anuloma. And Lord Balaram brought this up with Ramaharshan Sutta. Sometimes you read that pastime and you think, that was a pretty heavy reaction. Took a kusha grass and just killed him. But, it's like someone disrespects me, I'm not going to take the Bhagavatam and whack him in the head or something like that. Just for that. It's like, but he understood this, what is it, the anuloma is the man is a higher caste, marries lower, and then the pratiloma is when a lower class man marries a woman from a higher caste. And that's where Ramaharshan Sutta was from. And, well, that's the point, is Lord Balaram was doing all this. He became upset that he was given that position. What an exalted position, sitting there in Naimisharanya on the asasana, in front of all the other sages, given the place of honor. And he wasn't respectful to Lord Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in other words, his fault or character came out, that he wasn't actually well cultured at all. And just to teach that lesson, he killed him. Like that, he got upset. So there's one thing with the story is don't upset Lord Balaram. Like that, don't upset Lord Balaram. So, in other words, then there's a story, what is it, from, what is that book? All the different stories, like Aesop's Fables, huh? Yeah, about the jackal that falls into the vat of indigo, die, and then runs off into the forest and the jungle, and everyone thinks he's like someone special. And they put him on the throne. Even the lion is saying, who's seen this purple jackal? He must be like come from the heavenly planets or something. And he's thinking, this is fantastic. I'm sitting here. Then all of a sudden, the full moon came out, and some other jackals started howling, and he started howling. He couldn't help himself. And then they're just like, it's just a jackal. And they chased him away. He couldn't help it. It came out, right? Sometimes do you hear coyotes here? Sometimes. Where I live, you hear coyotes sometimes. One starts going, they all start going. It's like, well, it's a horrible sound. You have jackals in Mayapur, coyotes here. I'm sorry. Did I say jackals? I meant coyotes here, jackals there. They just start going. They can't help themselves. One starts and they just all make that sound. So it just couldn't help himself. So that's what happened. So I guess a take home from this is that no one is an illusion about we're all coming from very low rungs of society. In fact, it's hard-pressed to find any high rungs of society today, right? In fact, that's one thing made, and I think the next verse is that, according to the age and so on, the different standards are there. And it even says here that sometimes they're accustomed to drinking and different things like that. And as far as they're concerned, that's okay. What's wrong with that? People say that. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? No, but I'm just saying they say that. In other words, it's normal. That's a good one. It's normal. It's normal. Well, it's normal in a society of fools and rascals and so on. And people, just because something's normal. If you're in prison, what's normal? I'm not pointing you out like you've been to prison, but, what's normal in prison is not normal out here, right? Just like I said here, those who aren't accustomed to being thieves or, meat eating, and there's different levels, but some people, it's just fine to steal, right? There are people who it's okay to steal. Just don't get caught. It was Nixon who said that. When Nixon was on his way out, he said, some of my predecessor presidents did all kinds of horrible stuff. I just got caught. That was his argument. Is that a good argument? You know, it's called a victim mentality, right? So one has to be very careful that we've been given, because the last verse was about, you know, those who are coming from a lower caste, if by good association they can give up these lower qualities and engage in the Lord's devotional service, they can come to the platform of Niṣkāma, of giving up all these bad qualities. But one has to be very careful. The take home is that we don't let these qualities come out. Being very conscientious about our background. There's that saying, it's in your blood. What does that mean, it's in your blood? What does that mean? It's in your blood. Genetics, you know. It's your nature. So it can come out. So be very, very careful. Be very, very careful about that. Because it says the one gradually gives up his hereditary customs. I grew up in a family and it was fine doing this, that, and the other thing. But you give that up. Just because your family did it or it's a norm in society. Just like I was talking to someone the other day, they were saying, don't you know, about restaurants, don't you know that when they say vegetarian, it includes eggs? And I said, okay. That must be like vegetarianism in the mode of ignorance. There's vegetarian in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. You know, we all thought vegetarian meant like no fish, meat. You know, in our society, it means no meat, fish, eggs, or anything like that. Yeah. So, because society, it's ratcheting down, you know, just like, are they going to, the big question came up, I don't know, a few months ago, devotees were talking. They have now, they take a little cell of meat and then they grow meat in the laboratory and they're selling it. Is that vegetarian or not? Yes. Is it offerable to Krishna? Okay, let's stop there. Okay, but that's a big moral question. Can you eat it? Can you not eat it? Is it vegetarian? Is it, you know? So, you know, what's accepted as normal or okay, it's according to the different modes of material nature. And everyone thinks that's just fine. But we don't accept that argument. Because then you'll end up with someone like Hitler. Right? It was fine. In a society, you know, just whatever you think is okay is okay. Well, you get some problems if you follow that to its ultimate conclusion, because you can get some pretty wild stuff people are thinking in different societies and so on. So we have to be very, very careful. So one has to be, we all have to be very, very careful because it's in our blood. We come from a very fallen backgrounds, and sometimes it said these things are just under the surface. Until we become purified, they can come out. And one has to be very, very, very careful. That we land up, Lord Balaram will chastise us like he did Ramaharshan Sutta. Everyone is given a chance, but we have to be very, very careful. I'm going to open up for some questions, and then I have a comment at the end. Yes, Prabhu. Is there microphones for those who need them? Another thing is we should be very, very compassionate. The age of Kali means there has to be a lot of compassion because the majority of people, 99.9% of the people, are referred to in these verses. So to be very, very compassionate. And that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process of chanting and prasadam and gradually becoming purified, because that's just the nature of the society. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for such a nice class. My question is that in the translation, Chandalas are like said synonymous to Ante Vasai, and they are called as dog eaters, right? Mm-hmm. So, but if you go in the purport, it is said that among the Antyajas, those who are still somewhat pure, in that they do not steal and are not addicted to meat eating, so are called Ante Vasai. So I'm confused here, like in the translation it is said that they are dog eaters, mm-hmm. but here it is said that they are not addicted to meat eating.
Okay. What I would look at it is process among them, those who are still somewhat pure. In other words, there are different levels in that category. That's what I would say. Of course, you can ask Dravida as the editor what it means. But I think there's what we're referring to there is a spectrum within that. Is that correct? Because he's saying that.
I wouldn't say for sure.
Yeah.
I know that Prabhupada often, when Chandalas came along, you know, if it's in the shop or something, we would say dog eaters, but there's I don't know, every Chandala is a dog eater.
Right.
Subclass. Chandala generally means no grass.
Yeah, specifically dog eater is swapacho, means dog cooker. Yeah, that probably means dog eater, because you're not going to cook a dog just to cook a dog. You're probably going to eat it. So, microphone?
Let me just give one quick
Okay,
comment. The progressive degradation from Satya Yuga down to Kali Yuga. Now, you get Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. And I always wondered about those middle two, because Treta means third, obviously, Dwapara means second, so how did we get rid of it? So, but I ran across this, I just want to know if you've ever seen this, where it doesn't refer to the order, but it refers to the loss of the principles of purity, cleanliness, austerity, mercy, and truthfulness. So in Satya Yuga, they're all there. But then in Dwapara Yuga, I don't know which one, but one is diminishing a lot. And Treta means third, and then there's three missing. And Kali means there's four, or the last one, truthfulness is going. So I don't know if everyone knew that before, because I found it as a revelation when I discovered it a couple of years ago. But that otherwise we got this reversal here. Dwapara is third, you know, obviously that's two, that's second. But it just means refers to the number of good qualities that are left.
Still there? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that in this particular cycle they're reversed? That's what I've heard. In this particular cycle, for some reason they're reversed, but generally they flow. Satya, Dwapara, Treta, and Kali. But yeah, but they got reversed for some reason. That's what I remember hearing. You have a question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Nice class. So, Prabhu, you mentioned about the caste, lower, higher, we are talking. How do we understand and explain to others about that, caste system? They'll say, caste system is no more and we shouldn't do caste system and all. But at the same time, if we tell them this is according to their qualities, if you have Kshatriya quality, even though you are Brahmana, but that means you have that, but not by, birth. But at the same time, this birth has some power, right? Too, right? It's not like fake when we are saying wherever we are born. Mm-hmm. And I've been seeing when I was in India, like a lot of different. So birth has some power, and how do we explain to people is very complicated. Even when we are talking, they'll say, no caste system and there's no more. And then they it's hard at least for me to explain it to them, because I'm confused about these two.
Okay.
So, Hare Krishna.
Well, there's two, I'll make it quick because of the time. There's two things to bring up. One is that the caste system, or we call it Varnashram, human society, according to quality and work, they're natural divisions. And you explain, isn't it true? And in a society, there are the intellectuals, there are the administrators and politicians and warriors, there's a business class, and then there's everyone else, the Sudras are artisans and what have you. Manual workers and so on. That's there. That's one point. Another point is that what you see in India, the thing about by birth is a complete exploitative alteration of that. That's one thing. Okay? Also, the caste system or classification of people in society, it's there in every single society. In America, USA, you know what the caste system is based on? Money. You are high or low according to your bank balance. We have a caste system in this country, in the world today. It's money. Doesn't matter what kind of a person you are, if you have a lot of money, oh, you're very respectable in society, you're high class, and you could be the nicest person in the world, but if you have no money, there's something wrong with you. So every society divides the people in different ways. Just like in Europe, for hundreds of years, they had a caste system. It was called the estates. You had the priests, you had the kings, and you had everyone else. There were three. That's it. I mean, every society, you have divisions because there are natural divisions. That being said, no one wants to be exploited. And people take any advantage they can to exploit others. And that's the problem, you know. So, but people have to agree that there are natural divisions in society, and different cultures will divide it in different ways. And we do it in this country, in this world today, by money and influence. And in previous times, it was by natural divisions of intellectuals, administrators, you know, mercantile class, laborers. It's just naturally there. That doesn't mean people should be exploited because they're like parts of a body. You have a head, you have arms, you have a stomach and legs. What do you want to go without? Okay, today everyone's got to give up one of them. What do you want to go without? Go without your legs? Yeah, then how are you going to get around? Okay, you got a point there, but not the point I'm looking for. The point is no one wants to give one up. They're all very important. They're all extremely important. They're all extremely important. They're essential. You need the head, you need the arms. Now, of course, the head is very important because it gives direction. But all of them are very important. For a healthy body, you need the four. That's what we're saying. And they should be organized in such a way where society is peaceful. That's all we're saying. We don't agree with this thing that if you're born in this family, you're condemned for life to be that or this or that. There should be, you know, we don't believe that at all. That's not our philosophy. So I hope that helps. Kind of a short.
Thank you so much. Very nice explanation, Prabhu. So last question, as you said, so birth has any...
Yes, yes, it does. Because why did you take birth in that particular family? That's your karma. You know? So it does have some influence, but we can transcend it. And it doesn't have absolute... The point is, it's not absolute influence, but you take birth in a particular family. Just like I was at a wedding a few weeks ago. These two Indian men were talking. They're all doctors. And they're talking about he had a niece. Girl was like 10 years old, sitting at the kitchen table, and her parents are doctors. And he said, do you want to be a doctor when you grow up? And she goes, yes, internal medicine. I mean, at 10 years old, now she wanted to be a doctor, but she already planned what type of medicine she wanted to be in because of the birth, right? It just kind of, it's in the blood. That's why he took that birth. Now, that doesn't mean everyone who takes birth in that family of doctors will be a doctor, but there's a reason you took that birth. You know, so it does have some weight. It does have some weight.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Internal medicine, 10 years old. It's like, she had it all figured out.
I mean, Prabhupada was eager to establish Varnashram, and he said, I haven't succeeded that, you know, famously in 1977. And it seems like the only way that it can work, and that it doesn't devolve into what we have today, the caste system is kind of a pejorative term. Caste means you're going to exploit the lower caste, you know. Is if Krishna's in the center, which is right there in the Bhagavatam. Atak pumbadita varnashrama vibhagasa su anastitasya dharmasya sangside haritoshanam. Is that the varna and ashram system, the perfection of it is when Krishna is satisfied. And what's the practical result of that? Okay, if you have people engaged according to the psychophysical condition in, say, large Krishna conscious community. Okay, so, but the essence of it is Harinam Sankirtan. That's always the central thing. So when you have everyone together celebrating Janmashtami or Gopanim or Rath Yatra, so you got Sudras and Vaishyas and everyone dancing together and chanting. You know, no one's is a conscious, caste conscious. And so that's the whole point, is that it's a natural organization of society, because people have different propensities from whatever they have. And if they can all be engaged in the service of the Lord, then everyone can be happy. The Sudras can be happy, they're maintained, they're serving, but they're basically happy because they're Krishna conscious. As soon as that's missing, then it devolves into this exploitation thing. And that's what's going on.
Okay. Prabhu, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, so this part, the antyajas, the men of the lower classes, are accustomed to stealing, drinking, and illicit sex, but that is not considered sinful. For example, if a tiger kills a man, this is not sinful, but if a man kills another man, this is considered sinful, and the killer is hanged. So why is Prabhupada bringing up that example of a tiger? It seems like he's comparing the antyajas to animals, and that they're so fallen that those activities are not considered sinful. So I'm just trying to understand.
Well, the point is that they are sinful activities, but in that society, it's not considered sinful. If you had a tiger society and a tiger killed someone, that tiger, doesn't go to tiger court, and they don't hang the tiger. Because in that society, it's okay to just pounce on something and rip it to shreds and eat it. So in the same way, in the Antyaja, these things are just fine. You know, it's like these politicians presently and a few decades ago doing horrible things in office, and a lot of society just looks the other way. They're just normal. Their activities with women and this and that, or, you know, cheating on their taxes or something like that. People just think, and like I said earlier, Nixon, he said, the only difference is, not like, yes, I'm very, very sorry. I should have actually been, I have a most important position in the world. I should not have fallen so low as to think I could take the law in my own hands and break into this office, Watergate and this and that. I'm ashamed. I'm very sorry. Please forgive me. No, the only difference is I got caught. In other words, everyone's doing it. It's okay. Just don't get caught. That's his argument. So, in other words, in that society, it's fine.
When he was still in power, he said, if the president doesn't, it's okay.
Immunity or something.
Yeah, now they're trying to...
Now they're working on that too. It's like, no, it's not okay. But in that society, it's okay. You know, and that's why people, you tell them, you shouldn't be doing this and that. What's wrong with it? You know, that's why Prabhupada, I mentioned the other day, and I just heard the tape again. Prabhupada said, when I came here, he said, Commonwealth peer. He said, and if they knew I was coming to tell them, no meat eating, no intoxication, no this, they said, go away. Go away. Because they probably said, this is their daily affair. Daily affair. He said, I did not even think anyone would follow, but somehow by the grace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these young boys and girls, they're following, because it's their daily affair. So.
One final comment. Dharmaraj, are you referring to the very end of the purport to text 30? The thing about us not being sinful?
31.
The 31?
Yeah, 31.
Does it say it's not? Oh,
they're accustomed to these things.
It's not sinful. Okay, I see. And thus, according to the symptoms of higher and lower section, where does it say it's not? Antyajas. Oh, the men of this lower class are accustomed to illicit stealing, drinking, illicit sex, but that is not considered sinful. But I think you have to refer to the end of the previous purport, where he says, among people of the lower classes, intermarriage and the drinking of wine are allowed. For these people do not recognize such conduct as sinful among themselves.
Yes, that's what I make the
Not
point.
that
They're absolved.
But in the higher sense, it's still sinful. They still have to suffer.
Yeah, but they don't think it is.
They don't, so it's allowed.
They don't think it is. Like Prabhupada said about in Africa, they kill the grandfather and have a feast and eat his body. They don't get, it's just that's what you do. Hey, Gramps, it's time for the annual festival, you know.
They don't consider it sinful until they become the Gramps.
Yeah, hey, no, that's what you do. You kill the grandfather and eat him. It's like, and I'm a grandfather. I better watch out. Like that. So, okay. How was the brahmachari seminar? Good? You didn't go. You went? Just Balaram. You went? Okay. Oh, no. No, I wanted to bring up the thing because there's something came up while you were gone. And that was an important point, that some of the brahmacharis left and didn't get their service covered properly. And maybe it was brought up in the classes, that term, Guru Hitam. You live at the ashram of the spiritual master only for the pleasure of your spiritual master. That's a quality of a brahmachari. So those who... Okay, well, now, it may never happen here again, but some services were uncovered. I was here Thursday morning, doors are running around, who's it, where is it? And then Mahabharat told me on Friday, someone left and, didn't get covered. So if you're living in the ashram, just please, Guru Hitam, and be very, very conscientious that you get things covered and be mature about that. That's very, very important, okay? Otherwise it's shameful to just go and all of a sudden the deities don't have someone cooking for them or this or that or whatever. No one knows. So that's all. Here's something, it's ecstatic. This devotee, Kaustubha, was telling us that his spiritual master was Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And he was saying, I have two spiritual masters. His Shiksha Guru was Radhanath Maharaj. He was saying one of them was famous for intolerance and one is famous for tolerance. But he is explaining how Tamal Krishna Maharaj, intolerant, but he was intolerant for anything that didn't help you in your Krishna consciousness. He was famous for that. It just like burned right through you, And then Raghunath gave the example, when he was a brahmachari, he brought him a glass of water. And Tamal Krishna looked at him, piercing look. And he's thinking, how can I goof this up? He asked for water. I brought him a glass of water. How can I mess this up? And he looked at him. He said, there's water on the outside of the cup. He spilled it all over. So he's going to hand him a cup and get his hands wet. So very, very particular. And they were actually glorifying him, how particular he was. And he was intolerant of so many. If everything wasn't just right, and they started telling different stories. But it was always that everything is perfect for Krishna. And if you want to be in that circle, you got to come up to that level. You have to give up your mental speculation, you're this, you're that. And he would always, as you know, you might have had personal experience, or I have, he was like that. And there's so many stories, but it was all just so everything was just right for Krishna. So his intolerance was for our benefit.
I didn't have much association, but I do remember he once came to my room. I think it was in Miami. And he looked at the shelf of books, and then he put his finger on, there was some dust. He didn't say anything, I mean, we hardly knew each other. I got the message.
He got the message. But he even said that. He said, I'm an expert critic. He was talking about cooking. He said, I'm not so good a cook, but I'm an expert critic on cooking. But that was his nature. But it was all to help people in their Krishna consciousness. And the devotees felt that. His disciples felt that and so on. But it was... Swami Maharaj, what do they call him? TKG. Goswami. That was it, the Goswami, back in the 70s. So we can end with that happy note. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And this is on red now, so if anyone has to charge the battery. red dot.